Imagine a dark, chaotic room inside someone's mind, completely covered from floor to ceiling with desperate notes, red string, and scattered photographs. Imagine a frantic, sweating individual standing in the center of that room, entirely obsessed, trying to solve an absolute psychological mystery that is slowly driving them insane. That room is a perfect representation of the mental state of the person who tried to break you. They are currently running the emotional and energetic equivalent of $1 billion investigation into your thoughts. They have deployed every single resource they have. They are using the fake accounts, the burner numbers, the mutual acquaintances, and the late-night stalking sessions. They are pouring an astronomical amount of their own vital life force into analyzing your completely silent, unbothered existence. They are desperately trying to crack the vault of your mind to figure out exactly how you survived their ultimate betrayal. To understand why they are investigating you with this terrifying level of obsession, you have to look at the absolute arrogance of a toxic manipulator. When they executed their final betrayal, when they walked away or tried to completely destroy your reality, they did it with the smug certainty that you would completely collapse. They expected to leave a permanent, bleeding crater in your timeline. In their incredibly delusional ego, they believed they were the vital oxygen to your lungs. They genuinely thought that without their chaotic, low vibrational presence, your entire world would stop spinning. They expected to look back at the wreckage months later and see you completely stuck in the past, mourning their loss and begging for a closure they never intended to give you. But then, the absolute unthinkable happened. The massive, catastrophic event that triggered this entire desperate investigation. You didn't collapse. You didn't cry for them on the internet. You didn't send the long, emotionally exhausted paragraphs. Instead, you executed a maneuver that looked to their fragile mind like a literal glitch in the Matrix. You went completely, terrifyingly silent, and you instantly started building a massive, untouchable empire right on top of the ruins they left behind. This completely shattered their reality. It created a massive cognitive dissonance in their brain that they simply cannot process. How could you possibly be okay? How could you be glowing? How could your completely upgraded lifestyle look so incredibly expensive and peaceful without them dragging you down? They cannot accept the reality that their absence was actually the greatest upgrade of your life. So they sit down and they launch the investigation. They tell themselves, there has to be a catch. They have to be faking it. They must be miserable behind closed doors. This entire investigative operation is pure, unfiltered cope. It is a desperate psychological defense mechanism to protect their completely shattered ego from the brutal reality of their own irrelevance. So they start digging. They launch this massive, exhausting operation into your psychology. They are scrolling back through months of your completely silent digital footprint, looking for a single tiny micro-expression of sadness. They are analyzing the songs you listen to, the places you visit, and the people you are casually seen with. They are pulling mutual friends aside and conducting subtle, pathetic little interviews, asking, how are they really doing? Did they mention my name? They are desperately hunting for a single drop of proof that you are still secretly obsessed with them. They want to find a file in your brain that says you are hurting, because your pain is the only currency that makes them feel powerful. But let's talk about the exact moment the investigation completely backfired. Let us discuss the absolute, soul-crushing terror they experienced when they finally managed to pick the lock, open the heavy titanium vault of your current mindset, and look at the files inside. What did they find? They expected to find a massive, dusty shrine dedicated to the trauma they caused you. They expected to find a mind entirely consumed by anger, resentment, and a desperate longing for their fake apologies. But when they opened the door to your thoughts, they were hit with a blast of absolute freezing, terrifying nothingness regarding their existence. There was no shrine. There was no anger. There was not a single ounce of your highly valuable mental real estate dedicated to their memory. Instead of finding a broken victim, they found a completely self-sustaining, hyper-focused titan. They opened the files of your mind, and they found massive financial blueprints. They found an ironclad daily discipline. They found a completely restructured nervous system that is now entirely immune to low-level manipulation. They found that you had taken the exact toxic garbage they handed you, and you ruthlessly transmuted it into high-octane, premium fuel for your own legendary expansion. They realized, in a moment of sheer, paralyzing horror, that you had unlocked the ultimate cheat code to human existence. Absolute, unapologetic detachment. You didn't just move on. You completely deleted their entire species from your reality. You elevated your standard of living, your boundaries, and your daily focus to a dimension where they simply do not have the security clearance to enter. And the backfire was instantaneous and catastrophic. By digging so deeply into your current reality, they accidentally exposed their own fragile ego to the blinding radioactive light of your massive success. They were looking for a flaw to make themselves feel better, but instead, they found pure, intimidating perfection. LMA. The sheer irony of their situation is actually beautiful. The exact investigation they launched to prove you were weak ended up providing them with the undeniable proof that you are an absolute god in your own universe. They are entirely shook. The panic setting into their bones right now is something they will never be able to fully articulate to another human being. Because how do you explain to people that you are completely traumatized by someone simply existing and thriving without you? They cannot play the victim here because you aren't actively doing anything to them. You aren't attacking them. You aren't exposing them. Your new aura is simply so incredibly heavy, so pure, and so terrifyingly successful that it is passively crushing their ego from a distance. They have to wake up every single morning and live inside the agonizing crime scene of their own failed investigation. They have to sit with the sickening realization that they spent the energetic equivalent of $1 billion trying to find your weakness, only to discover that your only weakness was ever allowing them into your life in the first place, a weakness you have now permanently corrected. They poured all of that desperate energy into you, while you poured absolutely nothing back. You let them exhaust themselves. You let them run completely out of oxygen, while you sat in total silence, completely unbothered, operating at the highest possible frequency. I need you to really visualize the architecture of the psychological prison they have meticulously built for themselves. It has no physical steel bars, yet they are entirely suffocated by it. They constructed the walls out of their own toxic curiosity, and they locked the door from the inside the exact second they decided to betray your trust. Now they are permanently, agonizingly trapped in the role of the completely irrelevant spectator. They used to be on the field. They used to have VIP access to your energy, but now they are forced to sit in the absolute cheapest seats of the arena, completely paralyzed, watching you execute the ultimate cheat code for human evolution. To their completely outdated, low-level minds, your sudden and massive elevation looks like a literal glitch in the matrix. They are forced to watch you systematically accumulate heavy wealth, effortlessly build an elite high vibrational circle of individuals who actually match your standard and cultivate a daily life of absolute, uncompromising luxury and unshakable peace. Every single time they feel that pathetic, familiar itch of insecurity, they check your digital footprint. They type your name into that search bar from their completely anonymous burner accounts, desperately holding their breath, genuinely praying to see a downgrade. They are starving for a single crack in your armor. They want to see that you stumbled, or that you look tired, or that your massive momentum has finally slowed down. It is pure, unfiltered cope. They need you to fail just so they can justify their own miserable existence. But what actually happens when the page loads? They are hit right in the face with a completely relentless, terrifyingly aggressive upward trajectory. LMAO, the sheer panic that washes over their nervous system when they realize you are doing astronomically better without them leaves them entirely shook. They cannot mentally process the brutal reality that their departure didn't destroy you. It simply removed the heavy friction that was holding you back. They have to wake up every single morning, stare at the ceiling, and swallow the jagged, agonizing reality of their own decisions. They willingly traded a priceless, completely authentic connection for whatever cheap, low-tier, recycled drama they are currently suffocating in right now. They let go of a rare anomaly, a one-of-one force of nature, just to go play in the mud with people who do not even possess a fraction of your value. And the ultimate punishment is that the universe will never let them forget it. Every single time they see your face on a screen, every time they hear your name mentioned in high-status rooms they are no longer invited to, or every time they simply sense the heavy, untouchable power of your new aura from a distance, that massive, unpayable debt of regret comes violently crashing down on their chest. It is a heavy physical weight they will carry to their grave, a constant, sickening reminder that they completely fumbled the greatest blessing they will ever encounter, and they have absolutely nobody to blame but themselves. You didn't need to hire a lawyer. You didn't need to launch a counter investigation. You didn't need to defend your character or prove your innocence to the world. You understood the deepest, darkest rule of power. The absolute most destructive thing you can do to an arrogant investigator is to hand them the magnifying glass. Let them look as closely as they want, and let them realize on their own that they are absolutely, entirely, and permanently irrelevant. You let their own toxic curiosity become the poison that ended their delusion. While they are drowning in the paperwork of your past, you are already entirely booked and busy dominating the future. You have starved them of their absolute favorite drug, your reaction. And now they are going through the most severe, excruciating psychological withdrawal known to mankind. They are searching for a ghost that evolved into an untouchable entity. Let them dig through the empty files. Let them obsess over the absolute silence. Let them desperately try to calculate the exact moment they completely lost their grip on your reality. Maintain your terrifying altitude. Keep your vault permanently sealed, and let your massive, undeniable success be the absolute final verdict that closes their pathetic case forever. Case closed. Let the silence consume them. Fade out.